Hey folks, David Stewart here. I want to talk a little bit about this today. This is the Battletech Beginner Box. It's $19.99 retail. I think I got it for $18. I grew up playing Battletech, and so I was really interested in maybe buying this and seeing what's in it and what they're offering, quote, for beginners to the Battletech system. If you're not familiar with Battletech, Battletech is a board game that basically involves controlling one or more armored mechs, moving around a terrain field, and applying a bunch of different rule sets and modifiers as you try to shoot and destroy your opponent. Now, from that, there's been an explosion of a whole bunch of other things, which is novels, other game types, including RPG systems and other battle miniature systems. But it all really started with this basic board game system, and that's mostly what you're getting in this box. However, I think this box is also a great case study in how to get people who are new to something as complex as Battletech. And you could apply this maybe to something like Warhammer, right? How to get people who are maybe new to that to start with something that's fun and be able to play and enjoy themselves, and then also to prompt them to maybe explore the longer tail of what you're offering, because there are so many things that you can buy that are Battletech going back at this point like 35 years. It's really almost overwhelming. It is like a giant system like Warhammer or Warhammer 40K when you get down to it. Right now it is made by Catalyst Game Systems, and Topps, I believe, is the one who owns the actual license. It's changed hands a bunch of times over the years, which has made getting Battletech stuff kind of hit or miss at different times. But I'm really excited to see that they're selling this basic beginner box here. So before I open it, I really like the cover art. I think the cover art does justice to the greater, I guess, universe of Battletech and lets you know as a consumer exactly what you get, which is giant fighting robots. I love the high contrast red and blue, the limited color scheme, and the gritty look of the stompy mech. This is classic Battletech to me, as far as I'm concerned growing up playing this game. Let's go ahead and open it up. The box is kind of a tight fit box, which is good. It's very pretty slick, pretty high quality, and we'll take a look at what is in here. So first of all, what you get is a quick start set of rules. Now, one of the things I love about Battletech and a lot of these game systems like this is that you can play it rules light or rules heavy depending on what you want to do, and you can even use older editions of the rule set. Like, for instance, there's no heat mechanic in this rule set, but I really like the heat mechanic. That's what I grew up with. And I guess they may have removed that a couple editions ago, but you could always play with that rule set enabled, or take it out, or remove certain kinds of modifiers so that it's a quicker, simpler play. So you're not having to calculate things like, oh, you know, reduce my chance to hit when firing through trees or something like that. The rules are explained away in the same way that a lot of these things are explained if you're familiar with any of these tabletop gaming systems. They can be kind of complex, but they're explained in a pretty straightforward manner. What we don't have is maybe a tutorial system that really allows you to just play a game and kind of learn by playing. You're going to have to do a little bit of reading to get into it if you haven't played the game before. Like a lot of things, like, say, D&D, it's really helpful if you can play with somebody who's played the game before and can really help you go through it. So they give you a quick start rule set. That is actually pretty good. They also are going to prompt people to go down that long tail of what Battletech is. They include a story here. This is called Golden Rule by William H. Keith. It's basically a short story, and you can continue it if you buy the bigger, about $50 box set that includes a whole bunch of extra stuff. So you can buy this, play the game straight out of the box, read the story. If you like the fiction and you like the fictional universe, you can just start buying novels. So they're really asking you as a consumer to say, hey, consider all of the other products we offer. You know, if you like this, you can buy more of it and you can get more of all these things. You like the universe, you can buy the books, you can buy more rule books, you can buy more minis. So they have that. I think that's a really good business edition. This is an excellent business strategy. If I were to make a tabletop game, this is something I would probably include as a story so that could prompt people to read fiction. Lots of people like to just read fiction. And indeed, if you go to their website, they'll give you like 3 different paths. It's like you can play it as a wargaming mini game, you can play it as the original board game, or you can just read the fiction. So there's different options for this. We also get 2 miniatures, and I want to show these miniatures to you because they're fairly high quality. They're not the best quality minis that you're ever going to get because they're not metal. They are plastic, but they're fairly detailed. But they're not, in my opinion, so overly detailed that it would make painting a mini like this to be a real chore. So they're minis. You notice they come on the hex base because you play on a hex board. So everything's really set up for you to play with these right out of the back box. They're two 55-ton mechs. There's different qualities of mechs based on their weight and how fast they can move and stuff. So these are evenly matched. So if you want to pull these out of the box and just play, they're basically going to have a very even match set with a couple of different weapon loadouts, which makes them a little bit different. There's so many different varieties of ways that you can approach playing the game just in selecting different mechs that you're going to play with. Really, every time you play, you can get a ton of variety in your gameplay, which is great about the system. So they're two good little minis. If you buy the full box set, I think there's like 8 minis or something. They are pretty solid. The first thing I did when I opened this is my son grabbed these and started making them shoot each other, making them play with each other. So they're pretty good here, and I do think that most people that are looking to get into something that's collecting minis would be okay with these minis. But there's more with that. So you do get these basically mech cards, and we used to do these on paper, but you can, I guess, use dry erase with these. They're kind of slick. I would still Xerox these and mark them that way, but it has all the mech data here, so you can just get this out, and it has all the information that you need, including some different roll things. So what the number you're going to roll to hit where on the mech. You have a variety of mechs you can play with, from light mechs to medium mechs. These are the minis, and then all the way up to some heavier mechs, some 65-ton mechs. So you get a good variety of what you'd want to play with. For these ones that are not included as miniatures, they're cardboard cutouts, and I haven't popped those out yet. These are Mechwarrior cards. You can play with these or not play with these. This is what's great about the system. You can add elements in, you can take elements out, really make it as complex as you want or as simple as you want. So these are good. They're pretty high quality. I think the art's good. These are mostly CG mechs, but we do have some original art here that I think it looks pretty great. So I do think that those are pretty high quality. It actually comes with dice. Some reviews on Amazon were saying it doesn't come with dice. It came with dice. They recommend actually playing with 3 different color dice so you keep track of what roll is what. It's not really necessary, but if you are into wargaming or tabletop gaming, you probably have a couple extra sets of dice sitting around of various colors, so you can use that, red and black if you want. At the bottom here is the cardboard cutouts, as well as some little terrain elements that you can use here to place upon the map if you want, to add extra terrain. So this lets you modify a map kind of however you want. The little cardboard stand-ups for every mech, so you could play with more players, or you could even make the game so you're playing with multiple mechs. There's a bunch of different ways to play, and indeed, once you get the hang of playing with 2 mechs, you could modify those rules to play in a whole bunch of different ways. The cardboard cutouts are 2-sided, which is nice, and the bottom of them, they have this, on the flip side of the terrain, they have other terrain here that you can use to maybe put in sand or something else for your imaginary battlefield. And then finally, you do have a big double-sided battlefield map. Now this guy is pretty big. As you can see, that's only half the map here, but it is paper. And I kind of feel like, even though it's only $20, I would have liked a cardboard one. Cardboard just would have been that extra little bit of quality. You can still make a cardboard one or buy a cardboard one separately somewhere if you want to. But, the paper one is functional, especially if you have a table to play on. What I like about the cardboard one is because this is kind of big, it's easier to play on the floor. And I tend to play a lot of games on the floor because I actually bought this to play with a 5-year-old. Now, I think the age rating they have is, I don't know, 10 plus or something. But you actually can play this with a 5-year-old, and my 5-year-old immediately wanted to play this game and have a good time with it because he loves mechs and fighting robots and stuff. So all you have to do is make it rules light. Kids can actually play RPGs. They can play tabletop war games. But generally what you're going to want to do is strip out the number of steps and modifiers they have to do in order to play, because you don't want to have them think about 20 different steps of strategy and be like outclassed. And the other thing I love about this is because there's a lot of randomness, you're rolling dice to see where you hit. That makes play have a bigger variety. Kids can actually win when you strip down the rules because there's a little bit of a random element to it. Random elements for kids are actually good because you want them to get used to both winning and losing. So the random elements help them to win sometimes, and they may also lose other times, and they have to be okay with both of those, with winning and losing and not winning all the time. So yes, you can play it with 5-year-olds. You just strip down some of the modifiers. So rather than making them think about, so in this case, it would be moving around the hex map. You know, you put it on the hex map. They have to count to move. Maybe you leave out modifiers of firing through terrain, and you just make them count twice to go through the woods and stuff. This is all stuff that kids can manage, spending a point to turn, rolling the dice to fire, figuring out how far away they are. This is something that my 5-year-old can do and really has a lot of fun with. So there's that. Lastly, they also want to guide you down that long tail of product consumption with the company. They give you a guide to the universe here that gives you a primer on the way the universe is set up. This is also good. So they give you direct fiction, and then they give you kind of like just an explanation of what's going on, what the heck Battletech is as a universe. And then they also have an ad for the Ironwind Metals one. So if you want those metal minis, those high quality ones, you can go look at these. They even give you prices for this, you know, how many different mechs you can get, and some of them sell for quite a bit, $100. They're really high quality miniatures. They'll last forever if you paint them correctly. So a lot of people who are into wargaming stuff are happy to spend money on miniatures that they're going to use for years and years and years, or maybe their kids are even going to use. So I haven't personally bought any of the Ironwind metal ones, but the metal minis are generally going to be considered the better minis. And likewise with these metal minis, I think the detail is probably about right. Once you start getting really over detailed with models, it becomes difficult to tell what you're looking at. But in this case, I feel like the mechs, because their designs are so varied, it's really easy to see, you know, what exactly you're looking at here with this, you know, Mad Cat or Timberwolf, very recognizable, iconic designs. So you can see, once you get used to playing the game, you'll immediately be able to recognize different kinds of mechs. So anyway, that's this box. I think it's a pretty okay deal for about $20, especially considering you get 2 miniatures, and sometimes these can run you $1 or $2. But the plastic ones I still think are high quality, and you get everything you need to play and to start with. I may still get the bigger box set just so I can get more of these newer miniatures, and my son really likes playing the game. I'm okay buying more stuff for it. So I really appreciated their approach to selling the broader Battletech universe. I think this is a great way to get into it if you are into it. And that's about it. So thanks so much for listening to this little introduction to it. Let me know what you think about this game system and this setup. I grew up playing it. I'm very fond of it. It's good to see it back in a box form. A lot of times as these games progress, it's harder and harder to just get a box that you can play a game out of. That you have to start buying a bunch of separate little game elements and rule books and this and that, and it becomes really difficult to get back into it, which is my case, or to just get into it if you're a beginner in general. So thanks so much, and I will see you guys next time. Newest books. I actually don't have my newest book here, but you can buy Keys to Prolific Creativity. This will help you set up your creative process to make sure you get stuff done. Crown of Sight is actually free in the Corona-chan anthology, which is still available. A big, giant anthology full of sci-fi and fantasy, including one by Brian Niemeyer, who writes mecha fiction. So you can get Anacyclosis by Brian Niemeyer, who's a friend of mine, and he does the Combat Frame Exceed novels, so I'll give him a plug. If you're into mecha fiction, you can check his out. People have said it's the best mecha anime you've never seen. So that's a big compliment for him. So I thought I'd mention that. You can get Crown of Sight for free in this, as well as one of Brian's stories. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.